I'm in this gang tonight. Children protection.
We'll begin the April 15th meeting of the City of West Sacramento, City Council, West Sacramento Redevelopment Agency, and Finance Authority. We will begin with the land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge that the land on which we live, work, learn, and commune is the original homelands of the indigenous people of West Sacramento who have stewarded this land throughout the generations. We acknowledge and we thank the original inhabitants who have occupied, maintained, and secured this place and who still exist on this land. We respect and celebrate the many diverse indigenous peoples still connected to this land on which we gather. The council met in closed session this evening. Mr. City Attorney, do we have any updates?
No reportable action was taken.
All right, thank you. We would like to invite our guests to join council and staff in the pledge, which will be led by Krista Canariato. Please stand and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much, Krista. As is noted on our agenda, City Council is prohibited by state law from discussing or taking any action on items that are brought up under item 1 for public comment. But it provides an opportunity, an important opportunity for a public forum. And the public is given this opportunity at this time to address City Council on issues not addressed on the agenda. So we ask that anyone wishing to address the council on this or any other item this evening to please fill out a request to speak card and return it to the clerk, except for the presentations. You will all be asked to come up. And we accept the request to speak cards up to the conclusion of the reading of the staff report and on any particular agenda item. Once the staff report has been read and we open up the item for public comment, the clerk will announce your name for you to walk to the podium to speak. Now, in front of the clerk, there is a timer to ensure that everyone has a chance to be heard. And we ask that all comments be limited to the specified number of minutes. Also in front of the clerk is an analog flip chart, which indicates which agenda item the council is currently considering. And we also recognize that for some, speaking in public can cause anxiety, so we request that there be no applause or boos, catcalls, or other demonstrations. Furthermore, so that we may maintain a civil discourse here in the chambers, we ask that those in attendance and those who address the City Council abide by the code of conduct posted and not speak in loud, threatening, offensive, abusive, or other disrespectful language that disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting. Now, this brings us to item 1, presentations by the public on matters not on the agenda within the jurisdiction of the council, and each person has 3 minutes to speak. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak?
Yes, ma'am. Guy Stevenson?
Mayor, City Council members, I'm here because of one reason, what I saw posted online, and I also talked to that individual who's still employed with VIA when he decided to pull a van over during broad daylight and urinate in somebody's yard. What I'd like to know is why didn't they get rid of him? Because you know that is a offense. That's actual decent exposure. You don't do that. And it was during daylight. You know what I mean? I mean, the cops have already seen it. I mean, it's, you know, these are the type of people that they employ with VIA. And I have an issue with it. I have any issue with somebody peeing in somebody's yard during daylight. I don't care what your nationality is. I don't care about any of that. You do that, you should be terminated. And that's just not cool. And you know what's not cool is they didn't get rid of this individual. They have his license plate number. They got a video of him doing it. Why is he still employed with VIA? The wonderful VIA that everybody says is great and all that, it's not great. So enough of that, you guys can deal with it. The other thing is a thing about the food vendors. I have an issue with that because I've talked to the Board of Supervisors in Woodland. I've talked to Environmental Health in Woodland. And I had a long conversation with somebody over there, actually, about West Sac. They've cleaned it up a little bit over there in Woodland, but Woodland says that they're not responsible for what goes on over here. I know that it sounds like I'm throwing somebody under the bus or that department, but I'm not. If you work for a department and it says in the laws with code enforcement that you are to cite these people to make sure they're licensed, they have a permit, then do it. What about that little girl that got killed in Woodland, what was it, about a year ago? And that was a food vendor. So they cleaned that whole area up over there. That's what I want to see over here. And it has really nothing about throwing this person under the bus or that. It's about these people being compliant. One last thing. I don't like to be referred to by any staff member in here of being a racist or a Nazi, because it happened. I'm not going to say who it was that said it, but I know who said it, and it was recorded, actually, and I know who called me a racist because I was so onto these food vendors. They think I'm a racist because I said something about it. That's pretty pathetic, especially when it's coming out of this building. And I know, and if it comes down to it, I will tell you who told me. Or not told me, but who said it.
Clay Merrill?
Good evening, West Sacramento City Council members. Good to see you. I'm Clay Merrill. I'm your government relations representative for Pacific Gas and Electric Company. I just wanted to remind you that of an event we'll be hosting soon. Pacific Gas and Electric and the City of West Sacramento are holding a Customer Assistance Day on Monday, April 27th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the West Sacramento Community Center. PG&E's customer service team will be on hand to meet one-on-one with customers, answer questions about individual energy bills, and will provide customers with information and resources available to help lower their bills. Assistance is available for customers with past due bills and for income qualified customers and those who qualify for medical baseline discounts. Customers are encouraged to bring any questions they may have about their energy bills along with a bill statement, photo ID, and proof of income. So I've passed along a digital flyer to each of you to share with your constituents. If you need that resent to you, please let me know. Thank you for your continued support and collaboration.
Thank you, Clay. Can you please connect with our PIO to help collaborate in the socializing of this? Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Lucas Meza.
So who's Lucas? Lucas? Oh, you could lower it. Oh, yes, you got it.
Is there any plans to integrate more free sport programs for the city?
There was any more plans to get more sports programs for the city?
More sport programs for the city. I think we have, is our Parks and Rec representative here?
Yeah, Kate.
Oh, there you are. Yes, you can go ahead and have a conversation with Kate. She can answer those questions separately. Thank you. Anybody else?
Rochelle Ahmad.
Hi, good evening. You guys have met me before. I'm Rochelle Ahmad from the Wonder Grove. I'm here to officially invite you guys. We've sent emails to you already, but to let you know about our fun run that we are hosting this Saturday at Summerfield Park. This low-cost, joyful, costume-encouraged family event, all the proceeds go to support free play in our community. I also wanted to share some of our progress that we've made in the last year. We were recently awarded funding through First 5 Sacramento Equity and Action Initiative. With this funding, we're launching our free nature play Wiggle Worms into Sacramento County for the next 2 years, bringing joyful early childhood programming to families in underserved zip codes all around Sacramento County. We want to do that here in West Sac. We just need some support. But I want to be clear, even though we're expanding to Sacramento County, we want to keep our roots here in West Sacramento. We've built a community here with families that consistently show up month after month. We served over 3,000 residents with our free events last year. We have a vision, a permanent outdoor children's museum, a space that West Sacramento families in the greater Sacramento region can call their own, a destination that leads on early childhood learning and family well-being, draws visitors to the city, and strengthens our local economy, which really fits into your recent tourist district initiative. To make this happen, we need partners, and that includes city leadership. We know inboxes are full and priorities are many, but we need to figure out a path forward. Please join us on Saturday. Come to one of our pop-up events. Come see the community of play that we have created. We are here. We are ready. Please help us get the conversation started because we believe we have something amazing and wonderful to create and build. Thank you.
Thank you. Have you emailed us your information?
Yep, yep, and I can leave flyers over on the side over here for anybody that wants. We post on social media and inbox all of you guys as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rhonda Pope Flores.
We're all going to be in DC.
Oh, it's short enough. Okay, good. This afternoon, I would like to request that the city adopt a rotation policy for Mayor Pro Tem. To take my glasses off. I'm here to speak about this fundamental matter of fairness and how the city of West Sacramento selects its mayor pro tem. As you know, the mayor pro tem holds an important role in our city government, presiding over council meetings in the mayor's absence, representing the city at official functions, serving as a visible symbol of leadership. Okay, blah, blah, blah. I want to just cut to the chase. So, we had an incident now twice The last being December 3rd, 2025, where there was a motion to appoint Councilmember Norma Alcala for the Broderick and Bright area, and it was denied. And what I want to share with you is that two-time denial was a violation of the California Constitution Equal Protection Clause by bypassing one district repeatedly while others retain power violates equal protection. The California Voting Rights Act, governance structures must not dilute or exclude representational voice of protected communities. Broderick and Bright is a protected community. We already went through the whole having to fight for our mapping areas, and we won. Fair Maps Act, that's my next one. So enacted to protect historically disadvantaged communities. The California Government Code, blah, 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 council discretion must exercise consistent with equal protection. That clearly has not happened. This is a poor representation of the city of West Sacramento. Why our councilwoman has been bypassed twice is a disrespect to our district. And I would have thought that you would have learned your lesson when you lost in court over the mapping issues where you also violated our rights. So I am urging that it be immediately agendized and that upon that approval, that Norma Alcala be appointed as Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you.
We have no additional requests to speak on item 1.
All right, thank you. Next is agenda item 2 under presentations, is proclamation of the West Sacramento City Council recognizing April 19th through the 25th as National Library Week. And we have, I'll mention the presenters for you, Councilmember Alcala, Krista Kanyarayato, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, of Yolo County Library with, and if you can come on up with your team, and then we'll have Councilmember Norma Alcala read the proclamation, and then we will allow for you to present yourselves and correct the butchering of your name that I just did. All right, Councilmember?
Thank you. A proclamation of the City Council, City of West Sacramento, recognizing April 19th through 25th as National Library Week. Whereas National Library Week, first celebrated in 1958 and sponsored by the American Library Association, highlights the many ways libraries bring people together, spark imagination, and support lifelong learning. And whereas libraries play an essential role in strengthening communities by providing and welcoming spaces where residents of all ages can read, learn, gather, and discover new opportunities. And whereas the Arthur F. Turner Community Library serves as a vital community hub in West Sacramento, offering free access to books, technology, educational programs, and resources that support lifelong learning and community connection. And whereas within our libraries, West Sacramento residents and other visitors can utilize important services, including our literacy programs, English and bilingual story times, summer reading programs, weekly English conversation groups, tax preparation assistance, and meeting spaces for access to computers and free Wi-Fi. And whereas the Yolo County Library works in partnership with local organizations, schools, and community groups to expand educational opportunities and strengthen resources available to residents. And whereas residents of West Sacramento demonstrate their support for the library through regular visits, participation in free programs and events, and borrowing a wide variety of materials, including books, audiobooks, DVDs, early learning kits, and multilingual resources. And whereas in the 2026 celebration invites residents to find your joy at the library and encourages the West Sacramento community to explore library programs, participate in activities such as the I Love My Library coloring contest, and celebrate the role libraries play in everyday life. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the West Sacramento City Council hereby designates April 19th through 25th, 2026 as the National Library Week, urging all residents to seize the opportunity to explore the latest offerings at the Arthur F. Turner Community Library and engage with the knowledgeable library staff. Proclaimed this 15th day of April, 2026.
Thank you, Councilmember. I'd like for you to have the opportunity to share a few thoughts as well.
Thank you so much, Mayor and City Council members. I'm Krista Canariato. I am the East Yolo Regional Manager, so I oversee the West Sacramento Library Branch. I want to thank you for your support of the library and thank the community for their support of the library, and also point out a couple of things that are happening, and then I'm going to cede the floor to my supporters here in our wonderful West Sacramento Friends of the Library group. So one thing I wanted to let you know about is this Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. at the library, we are having our annual Dia de los Niños, Dia de los Libros celebration. It's a multicultural celebration with a mariachi performance. Local authors Leticia and Maxton Ordaz will be there. We'll be giving away free books to kids, and our friends at the Wonder Grove will also be there. So after you do the fun run, you can come to the library and enjoy more activities. With that, I also want to recognize our West Sacramento Friends of the Library who applied for a grant from the West Sacramento Rotary Club to add more discovery kits to the library. So soon you will be seeing discovery kits on a number of different topics like acoustic guitar, sewing machines, sourdough kits, pickleball, and other things that you can borrow for free from your local library. And with that, I'll introduce Michelle Dilla, who is the treasurer of our Friends of the Library.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So happy to be here on National Library Day. I was going to just talk a little bit about what the library means to me and all the great work that they're doing over at Arthur F. Turner. Because I think National Library Week is a wonderful time to celebrate not just libraries themselves, but what they mean to the people and the communities they serve. Take myself, for example. I grew up at my local library. It was a place that stayed open late, a place that I felt safe, welcome, and free to explore my imagination. At times, it was practically a daycare center, but I prefer to think of it more as independent literary enrichment. But as a kid, I did spend a lot of time peppering librarians with questions, everything from Middle Earth to Narnia, to trying to negotiate 5 more minutes to finish a game of the Oregon Trail on the new computers that were bought. And along the way, like many of us, I learned a lot of things at the library. I learned to ask questions. I learned to explore things deeply. And most importantly, I learned never to ford the river if you can avoid it. As an adult, I moved around quite a bit, from LA to the East Coast to different parts of the Bay Area. And the one thing that made a difference and made me feel really settled in the community was when I went and got a library card. So when I moved to West Sac, things felt a little bit different. My husband and I bought a home, and I knew this wasn't just another stop. We were going to stay here a while. And that was the first time I felt that I didn't want to just belong to a community. I wanted to contribute to one as well. And that's why I joined the Friends. It's been such a joy to support the Arthur F. Turner branch and to see firsthand the wonderful programming offered there, all conducted with such care, intention, and always a focus on the needs of the community. From equality parties, movie nights with honestly just super creative themes, cookie decorating, this branch is really a place to be proud of, and you can see the passion when you talk to any of the staff members. So, libraries, of course, are a place of books, for books, and I say that with the deepest respect for books. Libraries are actually so much more. There are places where people can go to access things, they can learn different things, they can forge connections, and there are places where children develop curiosity, where families gather, where neighbors connect, and where a whole generation of future community members can be nurtured and supported. So, just a reminder, if we fund all these programs, support these spaces, and invest in our libraries, we are investing in each other. So, happy National Library Day.
Thank you. Oh, wait a minute, before you go sit down. I thought we had one more speaker, sorry.
Oh, sorry. No,
Okay,
she's
good,
just
good,
a
good.
supporter.
Any comments from our council members before we go take a photo? No? Well, thank you so much for all your public service in the library, serving our community, reaching out with the Library Club, for your constant work in fundraising, enriching, bringing more enrichment activities, and nutritious meals. You know, as we know, sometimes it can be challenging for some families. So you bring the meals along with that, so it becomes a lot more fun. So we're going to go down and take a photo.
Then come this way. There we
Yeah. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. And one more. 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
All right. Next is a presentation of proclamation recognizing April 2026 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. And if I can have the recipients, Jenna Belahai and the two recipients come on, our chief, come on up, and I'll read the proclamation. If you have some words to share with us, and ask for counsel before you sit back down for a photo. So whereas child abuse and neglect continue to pose serious threats to our nation's children, and whereas April is dedicated to raising awareness and preventing child abuse and neglect, each year communities observe Child Abuse Prevention Month to promote prevention and support families. And whereas in 2025, Yolo County Child Welfare Services investigated allegations of suspected child abuse and/or neglect involving 725 children. With 125 Yolo County children entering foster care, of particular concern, Black children, 0 to 5, who represent only 2 to 2.5% of the Yolo County's child population, accounted for 15% of entries. And whereas this year's CAP Month theme, Strong Families, Save Futures, and tagline, When We Care Together, Families Thrive, reflect what the Yolo County Child Abuse Prevention Council knows to be true. The most effective way to keep children safe is to strengthen the families and communities around them before a crisis occurs. And whereas protecting children and preventing abuse is a collective responsibility that requires a community-wide effort, research shows that strong supportive relationships can serve as a protective factor against childhood trauma. And whereas the CAPC of Yolo County, a program of the Yolo County Children's Alliance, leads this effort by fostering interagency collaboration to prevent and respond to child abuse, raising public awareness, connecting professionals to training, and recommending improvements to family services. And whereas West Sacramento residents are encouraged to support the prevention of child abuse by participating in local activities and initiatives such as Wearing Blue in solidarity with children and families, visiting Pinwheel Gardens across the county as a symbol of the bright futures every child deserves, participating in a community art project to share a vision of a Yolo County where all families thrive, and continuously amplifying prevention messages. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of West Sacramento hereby recognizes the month of April 2026 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. Thank you very much. Please share your thoughts.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name's Rob Strange. I'm your police chief. And I was a former member up until not that long ago of the Child Abuse Prevention Council for Yolo County. So when invited to come speak tonight, I gladly accepted. So thank you. Just as a reminder, April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. This year's theme, Strong Families, Safe Futures, captures something we know to be true. If we want safer children and healthier communities, we have to stay committed to strengthening families before they ever reach a point of crisis. Across Yolo County and here in West Sacramento, many families are carrying a great deal. Economic strain, childcare challenges, social isolation, and the daily pressures of modern life can weigh heavily on parents and caregivers. And the truth is, even at its best, parenting is hard. It is some of the most important and meaningful work that any of us will ever do, but there are also moments that can feel absolutely exhausting, discouraging, and even hopeless. There are times when very good people doing their very best can still feel completely overwhelmed. This is exactly why this work really matters. We know that prevention does not belong to any one profession or system. It takes us all. Our collaborative work across public health professionals, educators, youth and family serving organizations, and public safety partners reflects that shared commitment of making lives better for children and families across West Sacramento and across Yolo County. We know that when we work together thoughtfully, consistently, and with a real sense of shared purpose, we build stronger support systems, we strengthen trust, we improve the likelihood that families get help before situations become crises. We are also fortunate to have the leadership and coordination of the Child Abuse Prevention Council, along with so many other agencies and organizations that are reflected across the toolkit for 2026 that we have here and that is shared, hosted on the Yolo County Children's Alliance webpage. Those resources can serve as an important guide for parents and caregivers who are in the trenches of raising kids. They can also be a meaningful tool for that larger village of supporters around them, family members, neighbors, teachers, coaches, faith leaders, and others who want to help see families succeed. At its core, this is about more than just preventing harm. It's about building the kind of connected, capable, compassionate community where families are supported, children are protected, and people know that they do not have to carry life's most challenging moments by themselves. I appreciate the work everyone who continues to invest in that, of everyone that continues to invest in that mission. I know as a public safety leader that this effort across public health and support of families is critical to the safety of our community and the safety of our families. Now it's my honor to turn over the microphone to Sarah Gavin from Communicare Olay and Jenna Billahai from Yolo County Children's Alliance, some of our key partners in this work of supporting families and children, to highlight some of the areas of focus and some of the data for this year. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members. My name is Sarah Gavin. I am the Chief Behavioral and Community Health Officer for Communicare LA, and I have also been on the Child Abuse Prevention Council since 2018. And I just wanted to build upon Chief Strange's comments and provide a little bit of data. Some of that was reviewed in the proclamation, but I think it's so important it's worth repeating. So last year, 725 children in Yolo County were the subject of child abuse and neglect investigations, and 125 youth entered our foster care system. And so we think about that as numbers, but each one of those numbers is a person and a family that's impacted for their entire life as a result of this intervention. And we know that in many of these situations, if there was earlier intervention, there was more community support, their stories and outcomes would be very different. We also need to consider the broader context of people's lives and what people are struggling with and managing. With a county poverty level of over 16%, many families are operating under intense financial stress. And while poverty alone is not neglect, it significantly increases the likelihood of stress, instability, particularly when you look at challenges with access to resources, childcare, transportation, healthcare. In addition, as noted in the proclamation, that racial disparities remain a critical concern in this work, with Black children representing approximately 2.5% of the child population, and yet reflect 15% of the foster care entries among children ages 0 to 5 in Yolo County. That's problematic. So whatever we're doing, our interventions need to have cultural responsiveness and be rooted in equity. Research is clear that a stable, supportive relationship is one of the most strongest protective factors that we have for children. And so families don't only need formal services, they also need trusted connections, they need relationships and systems and communities that are caring and loving and not punitive. And ultimately, child abuse prevention is both a moral and strategic investment. I see the effects of trauma every day in my work in behavioral health. And we all know that when you're looking at trauma, it's not just lifelong consequences, it's multi-generational consequences. So as we move through April, our goal is not just to raise awareness, but also to reinforce that we have a shared responsibility across systems, across sectors, across our community, because all of us need to be a part of this work, and it's important. Thank you so much for your support in this effort.
Thank you, Chief Strange and Sarah, for being here to accept this proclamation. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. I'm Janabella High, Executive Director of Yolo County Children's Alliance. I feel like they've said it all, and I'm just here this evening to thank you for your continued support in this work, not only to the Child Abuse Prevention Council, but to Yolo County Children's Alliance and to the families of West Sacramento. One of the things that we have been emphasizing this month as elected bodies and decision makers and policy makers, as you're looking at policies, please continue to prioritize children and families in your decision making. We appreciate you. We thank you for the continued collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Open it up for council to share a few thoughts.
It's a toolkit.
Oh, thank you.
It's being sent to Linnea, and hopefully she'll send it out to everyone.
Right, thank you.
Excellent. Well,
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, I wait.
Okay, mine are going to be really short. I just want to thank you for the education you're providing. Because when you think of abuse, you think of physical abuse, but there's also that verbal abuse that a lot of kids are subject to. You don't see a mark on them, but it's even deeper. And it really crushes their self-esteem. You know, be told that you're stupid and you're not good enough. And it is multi-generational. Luckily, with your type of program, parents are taught how to stop it. And I think the work you do is great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. First off, I'm with Geneva. It's been said, so I'll keep my remarks short. I just want to say it is an honor to receive this presentation. It's always my favorite each year. Of the 10 years, I used to present this to the council, and it was always something that I looked forward to because it's such a meaningful proclamation, something that's been based on my life work, something that I'm very passionate about. And working with Geneva for so many years with the Yolo County Children's Alliance and knowing the intricacies of the organization and how we'll actually visit 2 homes and hire staff that can provide culturally appropriate services to the members of our community here and throughout Yolo County in order to get ahead of it. Because as the chief mentioned, these oftentimes are good people who make very poor mistakes based on a lot of risk factors, right? And poverty being one of the greatest ones, and everyone knows that it's not getting better anytime soon. With that stated, I do appreciate the presentation and think about the ways that the toolkit can help us understand how we can best support the most vulnerable members of our community, because those, as we all know, adverse childhood experiences can shape lifelong and their generations to come, right? I mean, it is absolutely something that that trauma that's intergenerational. But just to reiterate, we as a community and who we are and how we step forward. And there's been so many times I've, walked an 8-year-old to the stand to testify against someone who has hurt her or him. It's not just physical abuse, it's sexual abuse. There's these things that we, as a district attorney, we read these things called SCARs, and there's especially child abuse reports. And a lot of them are kids that are just, they tell a teacher that mommy and daddy were fighting and were throwing things at each other and a baby got dropped or something to that effect, you know. And these are traumatic experiences that might seem trivial in a household with a lot of stress in them, but they could have lifelong impact. So we as a community can step forward and find ways to support each other, you know, be a friend. Educators keeping an eye out for children who might be acting a little differently and providing those types of supports. But I mean, I think we always think about it as, you know, it's happening somewhere else, but it actually is probably a lot more common than we think, and in ways that we can raise our own awareness, then we can help others feel more supported, more heard, and less likely to lash out against the people they love the most. So thank you for the work you do. It matters.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah. Chief Strange, your comment, parenting is hard, really resonated with me. As a mother to a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, have conversations all the time. People are like, how are things going? And I'm like, oh, I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old. And the immediate response is, oh, you're in it. And so my colleagues have all been in it as well. And when you talk about policy and focusing on children and families, I think that's one of the beauties of getting an all-female city council, is because of our lived experience. I really appreciate this year's theme, Strong Families, Safe Futures, because it is really about protecting the family and providing those services and making sure that the difficult things in life don't stop or don't get in the way of you raising healthy, wonderful children, because all children deserve to feel safe, feel seen, and have access to resources. The work that each of you do and all of your teams do, it's not easy, it's emotional, and I appreciate each and every one of you for putting yourself out there, and thank you for your team for just doing the difficult work to protect our community. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilmember?
My colleagues really have said it all, and so I just want to make sure that I say thank you to each and every one of you guys. The work that you do is important, oftentimes unseen, but critical to the safety of our community and the future of our children. And so we appreciate you. This is a reflection of this. It's small, but I hope you know how much we really do value the services that you all provide.
And I do recognize that all of my colleagues have, in one way or another, been very much involved in the safety and protecting the future of our children, helping our families in one way or another. This council, all mothers, all community givers, big community givers, and you as well. Chief, you've done such a great job in advocating in this area. It's not an easy task, and Sarah, thank you for what you do as a clinician. As a clinician myself, working in Sac County Turning Point Community Program, that was an area where I did work directly with children who were abused, and trying to figure out, how to navigate in the system, providing the resources and additional support for the families. Abuse often comes sometimes with the lack of recreational activities. The stressors at home could be numerous. It could be just lack of, resources, which, Jenna, you do a great job in trying to boost those resources. Childcare for parents that are working so they're not left at home alone. I, as a parent, did not have access to all the childcare and the support. Hearing about the library being a, childcare center, that's sometimes where my kids ended up going once, I was running late and I had a friend, meet me out there. It was just really hard to be a parent, and watching my children raise their children. It's really hard. And I do see the support of the intervention that you provide is not to be punitive or to, take children away from their families, as not only as a clinician, but a strong advocate for, child abuse prevention over the years of my lifetime working in LA County, has been to boost what we can and to continue to be strong advocates for resources. And what I see in the future, in the next couple of years under this administration, I'm really worried that these numbers can go up. And it can go up because of CalFresh, lack of access to CalFresh benefits, or immigrant families, and what you have to go to. I don't even know how many of these numbers are as a result of immigrants being detained and we had to step in. as a community to find a place, find a home with a relative caregiver or in the community. Or just because parents wanted to return back to their country and leave their children who were born here, you know, at a safe place. We are living in difficult times, and we all have to step it up, wherever we're at, to continue to provide a nurturing, supportive environment, a safe environment, a sanctuary here in the city, so that we can continue to protect our children, our families. And they know through this, it just goes beyond a proclamation. It goes in everything that we have to offer, even to the child who comes up and says, we need more programs. Oh, geez, of course, yeah, we'll figure it out. We're gonna look into it and try to figure out what else you need. And I appreciate everyone who comes in and says, we need more support, because that's who we are as a council. We get it. So I'm so grateful. You know, Geneva, whenever you need something, don't hesitate. And community care, you know, whatever you need. If you need some additional support here, more outreach. This doesn't end in April. This is year-round. Chief, don't hesitate to ask for any additional support, Jamie. So with that, let's just go down and take the photo. Thank you so much.
And information can be found on yolokids.org. I don't know if I was supposed to say that. I don't know if you want to word this.
All right, big smiles. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Thank you.
All right. Did we lose? We got 3. All right. Next is our consent agenda items 4 through 18. Are there any requests to remove an item for questions or presentation? All right. Would you like to wait for a motion? Would you like to move?
The move.
All right.
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Second.
Councilmember Carino Orozco moved, and Mayor Pro Tem Bruno Cepizio seconded. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Akala?
This is for the consent agenda?
Yes.
Sorry. Yes.
Councilmember Early? Councilmember Roscoe?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sulpicio Hull?
Aye.
Mayor Guerrero?
Aye.
Madam Mayor, was there no?
And Madam Clerk, was there any public comment request for this?
There were no requests to speak on any of the consent agenda items.
All right. Next, under our regular hearing agenda item under community development is a public hearing to consider Resolution 26-6, adopting the Community Development Block Grant 2026 to 2030, Consolidated Plan, and Resolution 26-7, adopting the CDBG Annual Action Plan. Mr. Isaiah Alford, please present on this item.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. My name is Isaiah Alford. I am the Associate Community Investment Planner in the Housing Division. Tonight, I'll be presenting information on the 2026 through 2030 Consolidated Plan and the 2026 Annual Action Plan. Staff respectfully requests that the council conduct a public hearing to receive community input, and upon closing the hearing, Adopt Resolution 26-6, approving the 2026 through 2030 Consolidated Plan. Adopt Resolution 26-7, approving the 2026 Annual Action Plan. And authorizing city manager or designee to make minor technical or budget adjustments as needed. As the council may recall, the city of West Sacramento became an entitlement jurisdiction in fiscal year 2016, allowing the city to receive CDBG funds known as Community Development Block Grant directly from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, known as HUD. As part of this designation, the city is required to prepare a five-year.
Isaiah, sorry, it's Amanda.
Yes.
We skipped over 19.
Took
but
an item out of order, so.
We're just going to finish with yours, and then we'll go back to 19.
Okay.
Okay, just we want to acknowledge that. We didn't skip, I missed and went over to 20, but we'll go back to 19. Isaiah, go ahead, finish.
Okay. All right. As the council may recall, the city of West Sacramento became an entitlement jurisdiction in 2016, allowing the city to receive Community Development Block Grant funding from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, known as HUD. As a part of this designation, the city is required to prepare a 5-year consolidated plan, which assesses the needs of low-income persons and neighborhoods and establishes funding priorities, as well as an annual action plan, which identifies specific projects and funding allocations for each program year. The city is completing its 2021 through 2025 consolidated plan period and has prepared a new 2026 through 2030 consolidated plan for council consideration. All CDBG funded activities must meet federal requirements, including benefiting low and moderate income residents, limiting public services to 15% of the annual allocation, and limiting administrative costs to 20%. At the March 4th council meeting, staff held a workshop to provide a summary of the draft 5-year consolidated plan, 2026 annual action plan, and amendments to the citizen participation plan. Staff also provided a summary of public outreach conducted to date and announced a 30-day public comment period. At the workshop, council requested that the staff extend the community needs survey, translate outreach materials into Spanish and Russian, and explore outreach strategies used by other cities, among other recommendations. In response, staff extended the community needs survey and received over 30 new responses, translated outreach materials to Spanish and Russian, and conducted additional outreach through community locations and partners. Staff also reached out to peer agencies such as City of Woodland, Roseville, Davis, and Citrus Heights. These agencies reported using similar outreach methods such as social media, local publications, stakeholder engagements such as focus groups, and surveys. The one thing that stuck out was City of Citrus Heights noted that a higher survey response rate was offered when a small monetary incentive was delivered. Additionally, staff developed and distributed informational flyers across the community, including the Washington Unified School District, community centers, churches, the library, City Hall, affordable housing sites, the parks after-school program, and emergency housing sites. These efforts helped expand community awareness and increase participation in the planning process. Next is the community engagement and needs assessment. To inform the development of the plan, staff conducted extensive outreach, including the community needs survey, stakeholder consultation and focus groups, and distribution of multilingual outreach materials across the community. From the community needs assessment survey, the top-rated concerns was, number 1, programs to reduce the incidence of homelessness. Number 2 is affordable housing for families with children. And the third is affordable housing for low-income seniors. The greatest need from this survey was a 3-way tie between affordable housing for seniors, permanent supportive housing for homeless, and emergency or transitional housing for homeless. So based on this input from all sources, the most significant needs identified were homelessness, lack of affordable housing, housing stability, and access to supportive services. The needs assessment also identified high costs of housing as the most significant challenge affecting low-income households. So using this information as a guide, the following 5 goals were identified in the upcoming 5-year consolidated plan. Goal number 1, provides supportive services for persons experiencing homelessness. Goal number 2, expands availability of low-barrier housing. Goal number 3, reduces housing discrimination and evictions. Goal number 4, supports affordable housing opportunities. And goal number 5, supports housing stability for persons experiencing homelessness. So here's the funding overview. On April 3rd, HUD notified the city of the CDBG allocations for 2026. The city will receive $517,683 in entitlement funding, with approximately $30,000 in program income, for a total amount of $547,683 for available projects. Based on this funding, here are the proposed activities for the 2026 Annual Action Plan. The first is the Homeless Emergency Housing Rehabilitation Project. Up to $366,495 is proposed to support the rehabilitation needs of the city-owned motel properties, the Westwood, El Cajon, and Pickwick motels. These properties are part of the city's homeless emergency housing program and will support the transition of program participants from other sites that's scheduled to close in 2026. The improvements may include a heavy emphasis on safety and security upgrades, repairs, and other rehabilitation needs. The second activity is homeless supportive services. Up to $77,652 will be used for case management and supportive services for program participants. These services are critical to helping individuals with transition into permanent supportive housing or permanent housing, and providing wraparound services. And the last activity is general administration and planning. Up to $103,536 will be used to support HUD reporting and compliance, environmental review, planning activities, and fair housing services. Next is the citizen participation plan updates. Minor updates are proposed to improve efficiency and align with current city practices, including providing flexibility for public hearings to be conducted by the City Council, and updating funding thresholds consistent with the current procurement policies. And next is the commission input and public comment. The plans are made available for a 30-day public comment period. We received the comment from the Washington Unified School District representative, who noted the need for more affordable housing for families with children. Both the EDH Commission and the Parks and Rec Commission reviewed the plans and unanimously recommended approval. Their feedback primarily focused on funding allocations, housing needs, and transparency in the citizen participation plan updates. During the March 4th workshop, a public comment was received regarding the CDBG funds to be used to support a nonprofit-owned tiny home community and/or support for infrastructure and site preparation for tiny homes. A tiny homes community would be a multifaceted development project that will require more funding resources than CDBG. While components of such a project would be CDBG eligible, additional funds and a development partner would have to be identified to fully execute this project. Also, while a program to support infrastructure and site preparation could be CDBG eligible, such a program would have to be structured to ensure compliance with HUD and CDBG regulations. But this project can be considered for future CDBG allocations. So in conclusion, the proposed consolidated plan and annual action plan reflect community input, data-driven needs assessment, and alignment with federal requirements and city priorities. So staff respectfully request the council to conduct a public hearing to receive comments, and upon closing the public hearings, adopt Resolution 26-6 and 26-7. I'm available for questions and comments.
Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak in this agenda item?
We have no request to speak on item 20.
Okay. Close the public comment then at this point. Any questions? Okay, I'll accept a motion for agenda item 20, not 19, as I made a mistake here.
Second.
All right, I'm sorry, who made it?
I made a motion.
You made a
and then-
motion? You second?
I just said.
Okay.
By whoever it
All
is.
right, all right. Councilmember Alcala moved and Councilmember Orozco seconded. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Alcala?
Aye.
Councilmember Early?
Aye.
Councilmember Orozco? Mayor Pro Tem Sulpicio Hull?
Aye.
Mayor Guerrero?
Aye. Thank you, Isaiah, for all your hard work. It sounds like you really dug into this for a long time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, let me get back into finding where we are here. Next is agenda item 19, going back under community development, is consideration of an interim proportional impact fee reduction program for tiny homes on wheels used as primary dwelling units. Mr. Baruman?
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and all the members of the City Council. My name is Daniel Bruin, City Planner for the city. Tonight, I'll be presenting the proposed interim proportional impact fee reduction program for tiny homes on wheels. I'll begin with a brief recommended action, followed by background, current issues, our program methodology, the CEQA determination, and conclude with staff's recommendation. So staff respectfully recommends that the City Council find that the project is exempt from CEQA and adopt Resolution 26-18 to facilitate an interim proportional impact fee reduction program for tiny home on wheels as primary dwelling units and a payment plan option. So just a brief background. Tiny home on wheels have been on the city's radar for at least since 2022, so a couple of years. In April of last year, the City Council adopted Ordinance 24-9, which allows tiny home on wheels, defined as units under 399 square feet or less, to function as either primary dwelling units or accessory dwelling units. These units are currently approved through an administrative review process, making them a relatively streamlined housing option, and they must meet guidelines outlined in Section 17.08.040E of our zoning code. Some of the current issues are that despite their small size, tiny home on wheels are currently charged impact fees equivalent to a conventional residential home. For those that are not aware, impact fees are a one-time charge levied by the city for new construction to fund public infrastructure needed to support development. This fee structure does not reflect the reduced scale and demand associated with tiny home on wheels, creating a disproportionate financial burden for those that want to utilize these tiny homes as housing options to live in the city. So the program's purpose is really to align impact fees with actual infrastructure impacts, maintain a defensible legal nexus, and provide an interim solution with while the city updates its nexus studies consistent with AB 602. So AB 602, adopted in 2021, amended California's Mitigation Fee Act to improve the transparency, consistency, and legal defensibility of development impact fees. The law requires local agencies to prepare more standardized and data-driven nexus studies, ensuring that these fees are based on the actual level of service provided and that a clear, reasonable relationship exists between the fee charged and the impacts of new developments. The city has until January 1st of 2030 to be fully compliant with AB 602. Some of the key assumptions actually for this program are that these are smaller unit sizes. They max out at 399 square feet. There's lower occupancy, so we imagine 1 to 2 people living in them. And there's reduced infrastructure demand in most, but not all cases. So staff evaluated 10 fee categories, included utilities, which are water and sewer, traffic, parks, fire, police, city hall, corporation yard, childcare, and flood protection to determine proportional adjustments. We excluded outside agency fees from this fee program. These include the Washington Unified School District, Yolo County, and regional sanitation fees. The city does not have authority to reduce impact fees for these agencies. So what did we do to establish this methodology or rationale for an interim proportional fee reduction program? First, wherever possible, we applied the smallest or lowest residential fee category already established in the city's adopted fee schedules. This ensures consistency with existing nexus studies and avoids creating entirely new fee structures. Second, we broke them up into 3 fee categories. 1 based on square footage, number 2 based on equivalent dwelling units, or EDUs. An EDU essentially converts multifamily commercial and industrial uses into equivalent of a single-family home based on their estimated daily use, so impacts can be compared consistently. And number 3, a no fee change recommendation based on our analysis. This methodology reflects what is feasible based on the city needs and capacity. So starting with square footage, typically development impact fees are structured in tiers. For example, homes under 1,100 square feet, between 1,100 square feet and 2,500 square feet, and so on, with a flat fee assigned to each tier. What we've done is take the smallest tier, such as the under 1,100 square feet category, and convert that into a flat fee into a per square foot rate. We do this by dividing the total fee by the maximum square footage in that tier, and then multiplying that square footage of the unit. You can see the formula on the right-hand side there. Now, moving on to EDU methodology, or equivalent dwelling unit methodology. Next, sewer and park impact fees are based on equivalent dwelling units, which reflect relative infrastructure demand. The city's fee structure already includes a multifamily rate, which is approximately 75% of the single-family rate. Given the smaller size, lower occupancy, and reduced wastewater generation of tiny home on wheels, staff determined that a multifamily rate is more appropriate. As a result, sewer and park fees are calculated using the multifamily EDU rate. This reduces the fee while remaining consistent with the adopted Nexus framework. Now, there are fees that were determined to be unchanged based on our analysis. Water connection fees are based on meter size, and the smallest standard meter applies to both traditional homes and tiny homes on wheels. Water demand is driven more by usage and landscaping than unit size. Traffic impact fees already include the lowest residential tier, which is 700 square feet or less. Since tiny home on wheels fall within this category, they already receive the lowest applicable fees. Lastly, no childcare fees will be collected for this tiny home on wheels program. And as part of this program, staff is proposing a payment plan option to be included. Applicants would pay a 25% upfront fee. The remaining balance would be paid in quarterly installments until either the impact fees are paid in full or final permitting occurs, whichever comes first. This helps reduce the upfront financial barrier for tiny home on wheels development. This action is not a project under CEQA pursuant to section 1573B, 15378B4, and it's therefore not subject to CEQA review. Excuse me. So next steps, if approved, staff will implement the program immediately, continue to monitor applications submitted for review to the city, and update the Nexus studies in compliance with AB 602. In closing, staff recommends that the City Council find that the program is exempt pursuant to 15378B4 of the CEQA guidelines, and adopt the resolution 26-18 establishing the interim proportional fee program for tiny home on wheels as a primary units with a payment plan option. This concludes my presentation, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have. I should also note that there was a errata memo that was provided for a minor error that was noted on page 16 of the Book of Fees, and that has been corrected. So just wanted to make sure that was noted. And then we have staff here from our Community Development Department and Finance Department as well to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions yet? No? All right. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak?
Yes, ma'am. Robin Davis.
Hey, Ms. Davis.
Hello. I want to start by recognizing and appreciating the work staff has done to bring tiny homes on wheels forward as a housing option in West Sacramento. This is a big step, and now even the City of Sacramento staff is working on their very own tiny home on wheels legal pathway. Thank you for starting this incredible momentum for the entire region. But I also want to specifically thank staff for including a payment plan option for the impact fees. That's amazing. So that approach acknowledges something very real, that people need access to safe, stable housing first. It prioritizes meeting basic human needs before asking residents to fully absorb the cost of long-term infrastructure. That's thoughtful, and it's the kind of policy that can truly change lives. But I'm here today because we're not quite there yet. Tiny homes on wheels are the most affordable housing option currently available on the market today. For many people, this is not a secondary unit or a lifestyle choice. This is their entry point into housing. This is the new starter home. And as our city manager has said, government doesn't build housing, but you do have the power to shape whether housing is possible. And right now, the proposed fee structure, while definitely improved, still includes some inconsistencies that directly impact affordability. A plumbing analysis prepared by a licensed engineer using the California Plumbing Code shows that a typical tiny home requires only 25% of the water supply and produces about 31% of the wastewater compared to a standard single-family home. Yet the proposal still charges 100% of the water connection fee and about 75% of the sewer fee. So it's not proportional and, more importantly, not consistent with the city's own approach in other categories. This isn't about eliminating fees, it's about aligning them with real documented impact, because every dollar matters at this level of housing. These aren't luxury units, these are people trying to find a way in. This will be one of the only programs that incentivizes the average person to create their own affordable housing instead of waiting for wealthy developers to build it for them. So I respectfully ask that you choose alternative number 3 to continue this item at a future date so that the engineering study can be fully considered and the methodology for water and sewer fees can be revisited. Taking a little bit more time now gives us the opportunity to get this right, to create a system that is not just functional but fair, not just allowable but truly accessible. My home is low impact by design because that was a choice. It's sustainable, it reduces strain on infrastructure, and it allows me to live within my means instead of relying on housing I can't afford or that the city has to subsidize. We have the chance to continue to make West Sacramento the leader in what entry-level housing can look like. If we agree this is the lowest impact housing, then it should also have the lowest barriers to entry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oops. Andrea Montano.
Hello.
Hello.
Missed you guys. Hello, my name is Andrea Montano, and I'm a community advocate, pairing alongside Robin Davis. I want to begin by expressing genuine appreciation for the work staff has put into developing this program. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Andrea. The city's commitment to proportional impact fees for tiny homes on wheels reflects exactly the kind of thoughtful, equity-minded policy leadership this community really needs. Residents have been waiting to connect to utilities, and this program provides a meaningful path forward, and we support it. I have submitted a written public comment to the clerk, thank you, and I would like to ask it to be entered into record. I believe you guys all have a copy of that. It contains a full engineering documentation, fee analysis, and citations I'll be drawing from tonight. The city's per square footage methodology for impact fees is the right approach, reasonably customary, and directly compliant with AB 602, and we affirm it. What we want to bring to your attention concerns the water and sewer connection fees, which remain at a flat single-family resident rate. The city requires Robin to commission an independent engineering analysis, and at the city's request and at her expense. And the findings was that her water supply demand is at 25% of the standard single-family home, and wastewater is at 31%. The city's own 2015 Water Systems Master Plan establishes two separate frameworks for these two fees. For water, it uses the equivalent meter unit, or EMU, and defines as a capacity for the smallest available meter. 3/4-inch meter, the Van der Veen document for this unit needs only a 5/8-inch meter and a smaller capacity than the standard. For the sewer, it uses an equivalent dwelling unit, how Daniel had mentioned, the EDU, defined as the ratio for customer daily sewer use, and to that a standard single-family home. And at the 0.31 rate, the full citations and calculations are in that written public comment. We asked for staff to initiate a formal inquiry also with the Yolo County Development Impact Fee and Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District. Both set the full SFR rates for the single, even though you guys don't have the authority to set that. Regional Sands have told Robin directly that they're very open to this conversation, but I'm waiting for a formal staff level inquiry from West Sacramento before making a subsequent determination. And this council's direction can give that staff that mandate. Our formal ask is a detailed and a written comment to the direct staff to request for an analysis of whether the city's own 2015 master plan frameworks support any adjustments to the connection fees, and initiate the staff inquiry for both outside agencies, and to establish a publicly posted timeline for the permanent program. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rhonda Pope Flores.
Tiny but mighty, that's my new name for Miss Robin and the advocates. I want to be like them when I grow up. I'm actually glad that the HUD presentation on information came before this, because I wanted to just point out a couple of things. I mean, this could be a win-win for the city of West Sacramento, because you have a number of issues that you have to address. You have to address homelessness. You have to address affordable housing. And I think Ms. Robin here has brought you part of that solution. I think that it would be amazing to see this plan be incorporated into the HUD grant and the goals and objectives, and it would be a win-win. You know, the points that these that were made here are absolutely valid. I think you should be very thankful that they did all the homework for you. Also, you know, we've got homeless issues here. We've got people who can't afford houses. We've got all of these issues that we really haven't addressed. We've addressed, you know, we've got some things going on in West Capitol, and then there's some things that people don't like about that. And so I would ask that you go deeper on this, because if you take this and you incorporate this, into your grants and dealing with your homelessness, you have individuals that fall within this poverty level that, I mean, I don't know, this just seems really a win-win situation. I think the other thing that needs to really be highlighted is the environmental, sustainability here. Charging these impact fees that are parallel with, homes that are built and much bigger and have much more impact and put far more strain on the West Sacramento, city of West Sacramento's infrastructure. This could be, I just keep saying, a win-win situation. So environmentally, this is so much better. Affordability-wise, I mean, seeing the success of the residents here, I think should be something that the city of West Sacramento should take pride in. And I really feel like this tiny home thing is going to be a movement that really addresses things, and you could be ahead of this. And, of course, she gets the credit, but you get to, tag along. I would ask that you consider that.
Thank you.
We have no additional requests to speak on item 19.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, closing the public comment, bringing it back to council for discussion. Any questions among council members? Yes, Councilmember Alcala.
Thank you. There's made mention that, excuse me, there's made mention that there was a 25% less usage on the tiny homes on one of the reports than what the average home uses. Can you address that? It's where, I believe it's an independent study that was conducted.
Oh,
And-
I haven't reviewed that independent study thoroughly, so I can't speak on that particular.
Obviously, was an expert, and Ms. Davis,
Sure.
paid for that study, so I'm just wondering why there's such a discrepancy.
Sure. Good evening, Tristan Osborne, Planning Manager. What we've primarily been discussing are the impact fees, which are separate from essentially usage fees.
Okay.
And so to clarify, impact fees are essentially to pay into the system, the citywide system of distribution. We do have our city and principal engineer here, Mark Collier, who can speak to it more if you have further questions. But essentially, the impact fees are correlated but a bit detached from the monthly usage fees that you might see in a city utility bill.
I see. Okay, so those impact fees were done proportionally to the square footage of what this tiny home would be.
Yes, our methodology has proportionate impact fee is what we're presenting for most of them. And then we have a couple of connection fees, which we can bump back into the slides. Oh, gone the wrong way here. So these are all impact fees that are done on a per square foot basis.
Right.
We have sewer and park that are done on this EDU equivalent, which in layman's terms is basically like a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment, so more comparable. And then because of the connection component to it, water connection, we did not recommend a reduction because of impacts on the whole system and the fee studies. Same with traffic fees. So we can speak to that more if you need more information.
I would like to see where maybe you take that into consideration. There was a study done, it was paid for by Ms. Davis, and I think that should be considered in the way that we weigh these fees.
If I could add one thing, and Mark may be the right person to speak to this, but I believe the study that they're talking about focused on the number of fixtures in the unit. Difficulty is that because these are tiny homes on wheels being used as a primary residence, you really have to think about the fact that the primary residence also includes often landscaping. And so just focusing on the fixtures is not the full story of the use of water. And one of the differences between, for example, an accessory dwelling unit and a primary dwelling unit, like we're talking about here, is the property owner is the person in this tiny home on wheels as a primary. And so if they own a piece of land, they will at least have the opportunity to use water for landscaping purposes. And so it's not just the in-unit.
But let me finish. I would like to see, though, I understand that, but obviously you have some engineers that may be able to have different opinion. Thank you. I appreciate the legal opinion also, but I would like to see someone with a little engineering background just sort of like try and.
I don't think it has anything to do with engineering, so.
Well, yeah.
I mean, what he explained.
In the calculation. Wait
Thank
a minute.
you.
Let him come up here and answer that.
Good evening.
Hi, Mike.
So we're talking about impacts, and impacts aren't necessarily driven by the number of fixture units within a residence. It's driven by the occupancy. You know, whether there's 1 sink or 2 sinks, if there's 1 person or 2 people, you're going to use the same amount of water. So we've kind of looked at this in that respect, and really don't feel that a fixture count analysis is relevant. The other nuance, Jeff mentioned landscaping. A large percentage of domestic use on a single family lot is attributed to landscaping. Here you have a case where the building footprint is being reduced, typical to a single-family residence, which leads and could potentially lead to a greater amount of landscaping, a greater amount of irrigation, and even a higher use. So it hasn't been, we haven't analyzed this in detail. The proper place to do this is in a nexus study, which we're going to be following up with in the future. We're trying to come up with our best shot at coming up with something that's equitable, and we've tried to keep it in those terms. What is the impact that this is creating versus the impacts that are already accounted for in our current fee structure?
Okay, thank you for answering that. And I'll probably be going with number 3. At least I will, because you say you feel that you should study it a little more.
That's the typical way that impact fees are, yeah, and that's by 2030 is the plan to have that done.
Okay.
So it's, yeah.
2030.
Mark, don't go away. Everybody done here? Or do you have any questions? I just have a few more questions. Okay, good. So there was a professional engineering request to this tiny home owner. Does anybody acknowledge that?
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
I'm reading the public comment that I received here, and I'm reviewing and also hearing that there was, as a condition of permitting, the city required the resident, at the center of this case, to commission independent engineering analysis. Has anybody heard of that?
I wasn't aware of that.
I wasn't aware of that. Of water supply and wastewater requirements. Does that ever happen? Does anybody get asked to do that?
No. Typically not, or as
So
a
it's
condition
just
of
this-
a building permit.
So it's just this person's word against the city that this happened?
I'm just personally not aware of it.
You were personally not aware of it? Okay.
Staff's shaking their head no.
No? Okay. Everybody say shaking their head no.
Yeah, this has been around a long time, and there was some previous staff. I believe the previous city manager was involved at one point.
City manager.
There's the conversation's been going on a long time, but what I will say in terms of the, I wanted to add a couple things that will help, hopefully help clarify this bit.
Okay.
Not an engineer, but I'm a planner. Spend a lot of time in code, spend a lot of time looking at how do we apply things equally across the city. And one thing staff tried to do, this is an interim fee program because those nexus studies will be done every so often, and we will complete them all by 2030. So it's an interim program, our best stab without having to hire consultants to do. Mark Redevelopment can attest how big these nexus studies are, how complex they are. So what we did is develop a program that would apply not just to Robin's property, but is a program for citywide. And that's what we had to think about, was how do we design a program that does not have negative impacts on our system, but still allows the tiny homes that do come in to come in a little bit easier so we can help support our housing goals. But we didn't want to design a program for one individual property. We needed to structure it in a way that could scale to the entire city and anyone who wanted to come in and do one of these. So hopefully that helps a bit in terms of why we structured our recommendations the way we did.
It does. I'm not questioning that, and I appreciate all your work. I just, when I'm hearing that we're asking as a condition of permitting, is it different than this process here? As a condition of permitting, I'm reading here, this engineering study was asked, and I'm trying to figure out how that process works.
At least these days, we would not typically condition this. Maybe during the course of how this particular property has kind of developed and been involved in the city and helping, Robin's insight and kind of bringing this to our attention that maybe we need to look at restructuring our fees. Maybe that was a request that was made. I don't know if anyone else.
Nobody remembers. Okay, which I get.
It was before my time.
It was before your time.
Oh, John Robinson was the name.
John Robinson. Okay. Thank you so much, Daniel. Okay, John Robinson. There we go.
Thank you, Daniel.
Well, this seems like it didn't happen. And so we have public comment here that I'm just trying to relate, as the council member is as well, trying to relate to what we're asking. Have you seen this public comment?
Yes, yeah,
Good.
we've.
Can you help us to say there is a distinction and this not at all relates, or it can relate when we get to the 2030 mark, or, we could figure, or you should say, look at plan, make a recommendation under, option 3, and we'll take a look. Can you help us get to a conversation about how this all looks?
If I'm understanding, and I may not quite have grasped everything, there was this public comment made asking for a connection fee, which is a kind of large upfront payment to support the pump stations, the pipes, the citywide infrastructure network for sewer water utilities.
Yeah.
That's essentially you're buying into that system, paying for any upgrades that are necessary and future maintenance. So it's kind of like a big upfront thing to say, hey, you're a member of this system, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get monthly fees that are based on your actual usage, which is where tiny homes could potentially see reductions based on if they have less water use, less sewer. Or if there's a very well-landscaped 3/4 acre lot, that may actually see a higher water usage. But again, that's kind of monthly and determined by how much a property owner utilizes the network or not. So it's two separate types of payment. But the first one, the big number we're talking about, is based, for water specifically, is based on a pipe size or a meter size. And tiny homes come in the smallest one that the city uses. And that same pipe, regardless of the type of project, if you have that size, meter, I keep saying pipe, it costs this amount. And so that's why for water, we aren't recommending. For sewer, we said we have a very equivalent type of product, which would be a 1-bedroom apartment. That's the 75% EDU, that for every apartment in the city that has sewer connectivity, which is all of them, they pay that EDU rate. And since this is pretty similar to an apartment, that was staff's expectation that those were pretty darn close until we finance and consultants by 2030 have updated all of our nexus fee studies, which will make every single fee in the city for every type of project a per square foot basis.
So if we establish the metrics today, this sets a precedent where we kind of don't take into consideration a tenth of an apartment size.
So tiny homes as a citywide program can be 400 square feet.
400 square feet?
That's
so
how
it's
big.
about half, okay. For some reason, I thought this tiny home was a lot smaller than that. Oh, it is?
Robin's specific tiny home is, but again,
Oh.
I'll go back to, we're trying to establish a citywide fee program
So
for
ours is
any tiny homes.
400?
399.
Yes.
399 square feet.
Oh, okay.
If you're larger than that, you can't be qualified as a tiny home on wheels. You're in
300 and something, what?
399 square feet is
399 square feet. So if you decide to get something smaller than then it's on you to pay for the difference. Like, okay, you decided to get something smaller, but we're gonna look at the 399, which is the apartment size. Is that the approach?
So any of these fees, fire, police, courtyard, city hall, flood, those are all based on how many square feet. So we took the smallest flat rate tiers that we have today, which are 1,100 square feet and under for a regular primary home. We said, what's the flat rate fee? Divided that by 1,100 to get a per square foot cost. So for fire, police, courtyard, city hall, flood, Robin's particular property under this proposal would pay 160 times that per square foot fee. If somebody came in with a larger tiny home, let's say 350 square feet, they would pay a larger fee of all of these because they're in that per square foot basis.
I see. 1,099 times the tiny home is the new fee. So in Robin's case, with the 140 square feet, how much would that be?
I think finance had pulled the numbers of what these individual fees would look like under her proposal.
Okay.
And the only thing I would say is I appreciate that Robin is here in front of us and has advocated. I know, because we've heard you say over and over again, you're not just advocating for yourself. You're advocating for tiny homes on wheels across our city. And so I do think it's important, I appreciate the staff noting it, that we, although you're a great example, that we try really hard not to make a policy just for you. And I know that's not what you're asking. And so that I do think that's important as we are talking about policies up here, that we really attempt to at least make sure that it is reflective of our entire city.
So, oh, go ahead. Anybody else have any questions?
Just want to clarify. Thank you. It looks like there's 10 different impact fee reductions, fair?
There were 10 analyzed. We are proposing to reduce.
8.
That seems about right.
8 to 9.
Yeah.
So of the different categories, whether that's water, sewer, traffic, park, fire facilities, police facilities, courtyard, city hall, childcare, and in lieu flood protection fees, all of which would be applicable to any development throughout the city. If I were someone who wanted to build on a property, these would be the fees that I'd be responsible for paying into. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And of those 10, the majority, more than the majority, have been reduced to accommodate tiny homes on wheels and any special needs that they might have, correct?
Yes.
All except for the water connection fees, which it says water demand is driven by landscaping and project uses rather than unit size. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And the nexus analysis indicated that the tiny home on wheels have comparable water demand to conventional dwelling units, which is the reason why we've rationalized no reduction fee in that particular category.
Yes.
Okay. But again, the fee is exempted for childcare for tiny homes on wheels.
Yes, there's a minor distinction there. There's no fee in Zone 2, the north part of the city. And so for clarity for applicants and administrative processing, it's a very small fee in basically the Southport area. So for tiny homes, we proposed zeroing that out because it worked out to a couple dollars per tiny home or something very, very nominal that would just lead to more administrative burden.
Okay. So nominal, so it's completely exempted. But in the rest, including in lieu flood protection, city hall facility development, courtyard facilities, police facilities, fire facilities, and traffic impact, it's the lowest residential tier fees. And some of them are actually prorated according to the unit size for tiny home on wheels.
Yes, all of them are.
The those can be pretty significant reductions in comparison to residential units that are typical.
We feel so, yes.
Okay. And then with respect to the sewer connection fees, it says apply the multifamily EDU rate of 75%. So it's a fraction of the single family rate.
Correct.
Okay. Well, it sounds to me like there have been a variety of different rejections based on that would be based on fairness and equity with respect to tiny homes on wheels. Is that your position as an expert in this field?
It is. Staff looked at all the fees very carefully, worked closely with finance, with engineering, with others to identify any fees that we thought in good faith we could reduce as part of a citywide program, and that's the proposal before you tonight.
Thank you.
Have you concluded?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I will proceed with my questioning now. Thank you. I think the difference and the distinction is I do have a master's degree and understand some of this, and even as a planning commissioner, I do. The difference being that I am an advocate for the people. And I do listen to the people. And I do read their material. And I don't want to discourage the community from speaking up and asking their questions. And sometimes when I hear questions and I ask here, I try to understand the discrepancy. I would also like staff to be responsive, to at least acknowledge, because I did raise this engineering study in a private conversation with the city manager, to be prepared to help me understand here, because I heard that this would be coming up. But to also hear that there's no recollection is a bit of a problem for me. So that's why I am not going to go along with this until I find some connection to what has happened in the past and the advocacy efforts, that this particular reason why we're here today, for the one tiny home owner who has been the strongest advocate in making a significant movement here in the city, that I will continue to listen and be supportive of being able to make sure that, any of their concerns or, discrepancies or differences somehow be addressed. Because this, what we decide here today will set a precedent. And I know it will be difficult in 2030 to go back to where we are today and to make a difference and a change. And so that's why I prefer not to make a decision here today. I would prefer a little more time to give us more answers. But if there's not that opportunity, at least I want to be able to make my position known. Okay?
Madam City Manager, Madam Mayor, may I?
Yes.
The city manager is not here to make any representations on his own behalf, and it's important to me to, and I'm sure
There were 2 more people in the room here, so if they can, yeah, they're here. Yep, Amanda was also there, and
You're asking about the study that was
yes,
that was raised?
yes,
Yes, and we did discuss that at our executive team meeting, and we had a conversation to determine, how that was received and how that was used as part of the consideration for this item. And basically what it came down to was what staff was saying was that because these the water and sewer hookups connection fees are based on the use of the water, at least for the water connection fee the use of the water for the landscaping, that the way that staff did the analysis for keeping the water connection fee at the same rate was appropriate for the circumstances of a tiny home on a single family lot, essentially.
Madam Mayor, can I ask a
go
question? Because I just want to make sure I'm understanding, because you said that these things are distinct. Is the question that you're asking that you don't agree with the staff's assessment, or is the question, which I feel like is different, so I just want to make sure I'm understanding so everyone else can also understand, potentially they might be confused too, or is the question you're asking, hey, what was the root of asking Robin Davis? Does anyone remember this engineering request? This seems different and odd from what has been done in the past, and wanting to better understand that, because those two feel very different. And so I just...
Well, it is a combination of things. Do we ordinarily ask, in circumstances where we don't have a tiny home on wheels was like the one, do we go out and ask these questions, but for what purpose? But nobody has the history.
And that's why I'm trying to...
And then how we are today, not able to, now Amanda did mention, which is helpful, and I've been trying to understand, is there a nexus? But it seems like either there wasn't a conversation or just not getting the answers, that's all.
And I guess I really want to make sure, because it determines how I'm going to vote. That's why I just want to make sure I understand what the issue is. Is the issue that we don't agree with staff that a tiny home can be, smaller or up to 399 square feet, but then the lot could be larger, and therefore the consumption of water could be large or small? Doesn't really matter in that case of the size. So are we saying, hey, we don't agree with that, or maybe this engineering report might say something different? Or again, also could be important, which is, hey, did something different happen with Robin? I want to understand the root of this. Those feel different to me. And so I just, like I said, if we are kicking this down the road, I want to make sure I understand why we would kick it down the road. Is it because we don't agree with their assessment of size and consumption? Or is it the separate issue of, hey, why was Robin asked potentially? I am also curious, hey, is there something in writing, right? It was just a verbal conversation. Sounds good. Don't need it now. But that's a different question. That doesn't, the engineer is not going to be able, right? What is an engineer? We have an engineer here. What are they going to say? Yes, maybe. I mean, logically, it makes sense that your lot could consume more. We all have landscaping on our land. So that part makes sense to me. So which one is it?
There was an engineering study done at the request of the city for the permitting purposes. We got some background on it, identifying some differences here from the presentation that you presented, pretty much making the nexus, and that's why I kept asking, have you seen it? And I'm trying to understand, and I think from what I heard from, Amanda said, they decided to continue. Somehow, somebody did take a look at it, and there's an acknowledgement of that, and decided that, no, we're going to continue with what we have here today, and that's the decision, but that's not what I've heard when I was asking the question. Maybe I missed that.
I think, and I will try and answer this, and I'm not trying to dodge, but I think, we saw the comment today, and it's this methodology from their plumbing engineer or something, is around the fixtures. And what we've heard from our engineering team is fixtures are not reflective of the water meter connection, the big ticket dollar thing. Those having fewer fixtures and having less, sprinklers or showers, less people living in your house and using less showers, will probably show up in your monthly utility rate because you will use less water. But the meter size is based on the potential use of the entire property, which could be for landscaping, or in the case of a tiny home, in a couple years if somebody decides to de-anchor it, hook it up to a truck, haul it off, and then come in for a single family or a duplex, we've already collected the connection fee. And so at that, we don't have any mechanism to essentially make up that financial gap if we were to lower it below the specific to water, below that minimum chart fee that we have for any other development. So there would be no mechanism to come back in and kind of make up that delta, if you will. And so that's why staff feels that connection fee specifically for water needs to stay where it's at. It's kind of independent of fixtures based on what we've been told by our engineering team.
Okay.
Hopefully that helps them.
Well, yeah, I just want some acknowledgement that there is this study here and there's a difference. And I'm trying to understand that because it's your job to help us understand. Mayor Pro Tem?
So I just want to clarify this process right here. So these are interim fees that we're looking at, and then we're going to do a nexus study. And then in 2030, we'll come back and reevaluate these numbers with some data. Can you tell me a little bit about what this nexus study is going to look like?
Sure.
Or what information is going to be provided to us and how these numbers could look different?
We update them I think it's every 8 years. I'm looking at Mark. And so they're on kind of different schedules. But the Senate bill that Daniel mentioned, we have to have updated all of our nexus studies, which we do for each fee, by 2030 to convert them to a per square foot basis. So we aren't going to retroactively go look back at, we aren't going to go to 617 Short Street and say, hey, your fees change. You've already paid the fee, presumably at that point. But it would be by 2030 is our city's deadline to have updated them all. And so any development coming in after that date would have a per square foot fee, per square foot methodology for each of the fees, regardless of tiny home, single family, apartment complex, et cetera. So it's kind of a rolling basis that we update these, but we do have that 2030 deadline to ensure that any that haven't been done are complete at that point.
And is that as hiring a consultant to walk through that process?
Yes.
For the fees? Okay, that's what I thought.
Good evening. Yeah, so previously we have done the urban infill fee reduction program, right? And so that's kind of what this program we were thinking is, like Tristan said, each nexus study takes years in hiring a consultant specifically for traffic or for city facilities or water or sewer. So our hope is each time a nexus study is completed, we would come back to council and have them approve, you guys approve each fee individually, and then hopefully that is right sized by square foot by the legal AB 302, and then it would remove that fee from this interim, right? So it's like we're trying to hopefully do one-offs each time to get us up to speed by 2030. It's a long process for each Nexus study. So that's kind of the hope, is coming tonight and having something in place for tiny homes on wheels that's why we're saying interim. And then, like, for example, the traffic impact fee study is the one we are working on right now. And so that one hopefully will have tiny homes on wheels is the goal, right, for each type of dwelling unit or whatever primary unit. And then we would say whatever that Nexus study is, then we remove it from this interim fee program. So that's kind of like we did for the urban infill.
I actually just want to make sure I give you guys a lot of kudos. Government typically does not do this part well, which is you're saying, hey, we've got these fees. This is how we've always done it, right? Even though this model doesn't fit within how we do it, until we have a chance to do the full Nexus, until we have all of the many things that we need to do, this is the way it's going to be until we could do that. And what you guys have done in partnership with the advocates, I just want to commend you, because it's unusual. Cities, governments do not normally say, hey, in the meantime, we recognize that this model doesn't fit and is likely inequitable. And so let's try to do what we can within our structure until we can get to this next step. And so honestly, huge kudos. It's why I love West Sacramento so much, because we're willing to think out of the box. We're willing to do the things that other cities won't typically do, because it is cumbersome. It is, right, all of the things. And so thank you. I know it was a lot of work.
So going back to this study, the connection fee question is the key point that I may have missed. And we have a statute, government code, which you cited, 66013. They're governed by that, separate from AB 602. And so we have applied our own published methodology to this type of unit, correct?
Sorry, I'm still looking. What's the code section that we referenced?
66013, government code.
66013. You have that in here? Sorry, I'm not familiar with
She's
that
reading
one.
from public comment. You guys need a copy of this?
That would be helpful. I think I see our city letterhead on it.
So there is you got it? Okay.
Oh, sorry. So this was provided by the
Yes.
public commenters.
That's
Sorry,
correct.
I thought you said it was us that provided that.
No,
Got it.
sorry.
That's all right. Okay.
Let's see. The foundational study, the city's book of fees cites as its basis, the study establishes, so that the study establishes the water equivalent meter unit. So this is the question that I'm asking. Is this what we're applying here in this, the connection fee?
What we are, for the water connection fee, we are probably more aligned with the top paragraph. So that specific fee is one of the 2 of the 10 that we are not proposing a reduction in. Whereas the others are the ones that we are proposing the reductions for, the 8 of 10 or 9 of 11, whatever the math is. I think 8 of 10.
Madam Mayor, is your question whether the city is following 66013? Yes.
It is?
Yes. 66013 requires that your connection fees not exceed the estimated reasonable cost of providing the service.
Okay.
That is what we've done. Now, reasonable minds can disagree, and they may see that they don't think we've done it correctly. But that's, in our view, yes. In my view, yes, the city is following 66013, all of the sections that apply to the calculation of impact fees and connection charges.
Okay. Making sure we're all following here on the same page. Study. Okay. per fixture unit charge. That's the stuff we're not going for. I get that. So however, the fixture unit methodology the city adopted for ADU connection fees under that framework is the same methodology. All right, there's that study again. So that's the question, how that is. The Vanderburg is precisely that analysis applied to this type unit and has not been used here. And the 2015 master plan recommended doing so. Have you seen the engineering report that was done? Did you ever find it?
I think there's some confusion as to what this report is. What staff had received was this table that's in the public comment about comparing fixtures between a standard single-family residence and a tiny home. And so staff did see that, and like I mentioned before, staff just, did the analysis, which showed that the water connection fee. And in the table that's attached to the staff report, it shows when looking at the fees for the water connection fee for the tiny home versus a single family, a one bedroom multifamily unit, that the fees are very similar. And in that case, the tiny home could potentially use more water because it has area for landscaping and irrigation. So that's why staff settled on keeping the water connection fees as the same and not following what was provided in the table.
I see. Okay.
If it helps shed some light, we have a few backup slides.
Yeah.
So I'll run through these two real quick.
Okay.
Here is current impact fees as approved by you guys. Basically, the second column is a single family rate. We assumed a 2,500 square foot house, pretty typical. The next one over is a tiny home at the largest tiny home size you can build, which is 399 square feet. A lot of data in there, but you can see, there's not much in the way of reductions currently. We do have some per square foot, those buckets, but they're not there, or size buckets, but they're not a per square foot basis. So you see single family can run 71 to 85,000 in zone 1. A tiny home currently would be 50 to 53,000. Our proposal, shifting the format a little bit, column B is current tiny home rate, which you saw on the previous slide, next to our proposed rate. And this is where you start seeing some of the big differences. So water connection hasn't shifted. Sewer connection, it's dropped down by $2,000. You continue to go down and you see at the bottom, we go from a 50 or 53,000 to a 42 to 45,000. And again, this is for the largest tiny home you can build. Ms. Davis's is less than half this size. So her column C would be even lower than what's shown below you. Obviously, as you get into zone 2, the urban infill reduction program, those numbers go way down because of some of the fee reductions you guys have already approved last year or the year before.
Okay. So the city's 2015 water system master plan update finalized in 2017, that was the study of the city's book of fees. That is applied here, right?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Yes?
So I'm looking at finance. They're the ones that manage the Nexus fees.
Okay. All right.
Updates.
Okay, that seems to answer my questions. Go ahead.
Mayor, okay. First of all, I want to say thank you so much. I mean, I asked about the proportional, and you explained everything about the fees. No one, I believe, had any issues whatsoever with how the formula that you used to get to the fees for the tiny homes. I think what has struck me, though, is that we asked an individual, the city has a document that asked to do an independent report, and we're not using the report. How are we going to make Ms. Davis whole? I guess that's what I was wondering. If we're not going to use her engineer's report, how is the city, I should ask probably our legal counsel if it's permitted, how are we going to make her whole, the money she had to put up for this report?
how are we going to make her whole for the money she put out for the report?
For the report.
I don't know why we would need to make her whole for that. I mean,
We
if that
asked
would
her
be
to
her
make,
call.
we
but-
asked her for the report. She had to hire an engineer, so I guess that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I wasn't involved in that decision, so I've been reluctant to speculate, but my speculation, I'll go ahead and say, is because she came in with a new product type, tiny home on wheels, and said that that new product type should be, fee should be calculated differently. And someone probably said to her, if you can provide us support for that, we will take that into consideration. I don't know. I don't know that it was made like a condition of the city accepting an application. I suspect it was done because we hadn't done anything with tiny homes on wheels before. And there was no, there was no nexus study planned. Remember that the 2015 nexus study is about 700 pages long. It's a big undertaking. And we weren't in a position to immediately update the nexus study. So that's just my speculation. She was asked to provide support and told that the city would consider, if she provides something from a licensed engineer, the city would consider it.
Oh, I know, I get it.
That's my best guess.
It does seem like we should look into this issue again, but it feels very separate. That feels a very individual issue, and I think it's important, by the way, from what we're being tasked to do, which is also important, which is also something you've been advocating for, which I also feel is very important for our housing work that we do in the city, which is this policy. And so, Councilmember Alcala, I don't know if you would be amenable to us saying, hey, we would like to follow up on this, look into it, but in the meantime, it'd be great to also address the policy that's in front of us, which again feels separate from that issue.
Yes, I know exactly.
Yeah.
I think what happened, what I'm, Councilmember Alcala, I don't know if we can address that here. But where I'm confused is when we ask somebody to do an engineering study and they go out and they hire somebody and they come back and they say, we're just using your city's 2015 master plan zone recommendations, and they come up with the report. And now we're looking at something else. And that's why I keep asking, is this the recommendation that you're providing is based on our 2015 master plan, where prorating ADU fees by floor size or fixture units, which is where it's different, which you're saying we don't. That's what I'm hearing. At least that's what I'm hearing. I guess maybe that's where I'm struggling.
And what I would ask is that could we just give staff an opportunity to answer your question, investigate, because I do feel like we're putting them a bit on the spot. I recognize that you have asked in the past, but potentially it didn't make its way down, or something has occurred, because it sounds like we are asking for some background information. I would love to hear and see more, but again, this does not feel like it might be the right venue to go back and forth. I don't even know if we're allowed to do that.
To go back and forth.
And so, because it sounds like they have more and
Yeah, they have more.
Exactly.
Well, no, I mean, I get it now. I get it now.
So I'm not suggesting that it's not important. It just feels very separate, but also something we should do and give the staff an actual opportunity to do background and look into it. Because
Well, I would like that.
Yeah,
I would
okay.
too.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking.
I agree.
And I
Okay.
agree there too.
Well, that's where option 3 is.
Well, no, again, I feel they're very separate, right? One is this individual, hey, I got to dig into this, allow staff to figure out, well, who asked, when they asked, why did they ask, what is it? And then the other is what's in front of us, which does, I will tell you, feel reasonable. It does feel like the questions have been answered. It does feel like they did look into this report and say, hey, we understand. However, for the purposes of all of the city and all, right, this makes more sense.
But for the sake of the question here that I have, where there is an engineering study that reflects we can do this, and I'm hearing we can't from you. Is that correct?
What we recommended was not reducing it. That stays in compliance.
Because you couldn't recoup it. That's right. Okay, that's what
Yeah.
you're saying. Okay.
And I think one distinction, and they seem very similar on a superficial scale, is tiny homes on wheels and ADUs. They're both small tiny homes kind of dropped in the backyard. ADUs, by definition, means there's already a primary residence there, most typically a traditional or conventional single-family home, who has paid the connection fees for that property. So we've been made whole. ADUs are kind of piggybacking on what has already been done. Tiny homes on wheels as primaries, it hasn't been done yet. And so that's the distinction there. Based on, and I haven't read the 2015 report, so I apologize. Long before I got here. But that's what I'm seeing here, and you had mentioned the ADUs. If they're looking at ADUs versus primaries, that could be explain some of that murkiness between the two. Why they were fixated on, sorry, bad language, focused on fixtures, whereas we're focused on the connections for the primary residence.
Oh, I see. Okay. That makes sense. God, I wish we had this in writing in the report. It just, I was asking. I wish I could have gotten a call. But just to help me understand this. But it makes sense, it's the primary residence. When we write a policy and try to explain that in writing, I think we need to make that clear, don't you think?
The policies
Policy, yeah, because maybe that's what's being, because they're, I mean, I get it. But is that clear in the policy that's being drafted here today?
we
Because
think
it's the
we've made
primary residence and all of that?
Yes, very much so. We not to further complicate it, we do allow tiny homes as ADUs, but the fee reduction program, because ADUs, by state law, we can't charge impact fees if they're under 750 square feet. So any tiny home on wheels that's an ADU, no impact fees whatsoever. So that's why the program proposed to you today is only tiny homes for primary residences.
And if I could add, if your concern is that it be clear in what you're adopting, if you look at attachment 2, which is the table that will show all of the impact fees and therefore everything, the line item that's being added in each case is tiny homes on wheels as primary unit. And the next line down from there is accessory dwelling unit. So I think it will be clear.
It is clear enough?
That this is only going to, these fees will only apply if someone is using their tiny home on wheels as their primary unit.
Okay. All right. Just, are we all done here? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt staff's recommendation for this to be the interim policies. And do I need to read all of them, City Attorney?
No, you can simply move the recommended action.
Perfect. I will move the recommended action.
I'll second.
Madam Clerk, Councilmember Early moved, and Mayor Pro Tem Sulpicio Ho seconded. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Ocala?
Aye.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Aye.
Councilmember Early?
Aye.
Councilmember Roscoe?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sulpicio Hull?
Aye.
Mayor Guerrero?
Aye. This item is approved. Thank you for all your work and your patience. Next is Agenda Item 21 under Community Development. Did I get this right? We're real busy putting this together. It's a public hearing and under Community Development, a public hearing and consideration of Resolution 26-30, a resolution to vacate a public utility easement located at 905 Soul Street. Oh, Mark, again.
Hello again. I think this one will be easier. Could we get the presentation up? Thank you. So yes, this item requests that you conduct a public hearing and consider adoption of Resolution 2630, which abandons a 5-foot wide PUE located at 905 Soule Street. Oh, there we go. So a few fun facts. This easement was created on a map in 1913, the West Sacramento Unit 1 final map. It's been around for a long time, never been utilized. This easement abandonment has been requested by the developer because, as you can see, wrong way, it bisects this property and really creates a problem for, maximizing the development potential of the property. The easement does not contain any public or private utilities, nor are there any anticipated plans to utilize that. The 5-foot width doesn't match or meet our current city standard for a water, sewer, storm drain easement, which is 15 feet, so it really doesn't even have any practical application for the city. On March 4th, 2026, Council adopted Resolution 2619, the Notice of Intent to Vacate for the proposed abandonment. That Notice of Intent has been posted and gone through the public notification process as required by the California Streets and Highway Code. All conditions have been met in that regard. And so it's respectfully recommended that Council will conduct the public hearing and adopt Resolution 2630 vacating this easement. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mark. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak on this?
We have no request to speak on item 21.
All right, thank you. Close the public comment, bring it back to council. Any questions, comments, motion?
Early moves.
All right, Councilmember Alcala moved and Councilmember Early seconded. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Alcala?
Aye.
Councilmember Early?
Aye.
Councilmember Orozco?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sulpicio Hall?
Aye.
Mayor Guerrero?
Aye. All right, thank you so much, Mark. Next, under General Administration Function Part 2, do we have any reports from council assignments?
I have.
Yes, Councilmember.
Yes. So attended YOLO Transportation District meeting on this past Monday, and we approved a new YOLO transportation operator for obviously all of YOLO County. This is the first time in almost 20 years we will be switching to a new operator. I will remind our council that YTD actually came, their consultant came before us for the short-range transit plan and presented a plan that said, okay, if we find an operator that it maintains at the same costs, this would be what the plan would be. I'll also remind my colleagues, I said the likelihood of that happening is small because the operator that we had not had an increase in 5 years and actually was saying to us, hey, we can't afford to do this anymore. Sure enough, the operator that we approved and the operators that applied to this RFP, the range was between 3.8% increase to 20% increase. For many reasons, including VIA actually did. I know that was one of the things you had asked, Madam Mayor, was whether VIA would apply. They did apply. They were not chosen by the committee and recommended to us. But the operator that was approved by YTD and was recommended by the search committee was 17% increase. And the reason why this matters is because that means there will likely be a reduction in our service, our YOLO bus service, not in the coming fiscal year, but likely in the following year. And so I have requested that YTD come back, or the consultant comes back and presents what the alternative would be, presents to us as early as possible so that we have an opportunity to talk to our residents and see how this might impact them. And the other important part of this is, as we saw, we adopted our strategic priorities for this year. One of them is to do a strategic plan for our transportation and how all of those things come together, both VIA, both YOLO bus, both potential light rail as well. All of those things, it'll be critically important. So kudos to us for doing that, for that to happen this next year, because there will be likely a reduction. And so being able to do all those things together, I think, will be very important. And that is my report out from YTD.
Okay, thank you.
Most recent meeting for the Yellow Subbasin Groundwater Agency, we reviewed our draft fee report for our updated fees for our subbasin. Outreach has been done through most of the cities, several meetings, and fees are changing, not significantly for the city of West Sacramento, which the city of West Sacramento pays into. The engineers are continuing to review the documentation, and then I believe it'll be coming back to the board in May to finalize the update to the fee structure so that we are able to manage groundwater in our subbasin.
Thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. Any other reports?
Mayor, I attended the Los Solano Air Quality Management District, and we went over our budget, but we also have a contest that is very, very popular with the Los Solano Air Quality Management District, and that is the Clean the Air contest. And schools all throughout YOLO, all the students there submit entries. It's a great contest because kids get out there with innovative ways of sparing the air, and it's very well received in schools. And also, the Los Solano Air Quality Management District had a booth at the Bright Park, right? And they handed out information on clean air, so it's great to see their presence here in West Sacramento at our Earth Day event. That's it.
Thank you, Councilmember Alcala. Just to share that the Yolo County JPA has not met for a couple of months, and the reason for that is because they need to do a presentation to us based on the decision from the Yolo County Board of Supervisors on what the JPA looks like, any additional cost, any ideas. So they're going to come to us first, and then we'll, return. We'd love to, make sure that happens in a future agenda item so that we can proceed in addressing, what it is we need to do there.
Madam Mayor, I'm sorry. Since you'd mentioned the JPA hadn't met, I hadn't given a report for Sac Sewer. I was last month appointed by my colleagues to be the vice chair of Sac Sewer Board after 9 years of being on that board, and had the great fortune of being called to chair the meeting last week in the absence of Bill Cerna, who's our current chair. Unfortunately, we were unable to make quorum, so I have no report, but I wanted to let you know I did show up, so it was fantastic behind the gavel, I'll tell you.
All right, and we will be, some of us will be meeting at Cap to Cap. Can I just find out from a show of hands? I know Councilmember Call is going to go cover flood protection.
My bag here.
Just wanted to get an idea of where our gaps are because we have a couple of staff going.
I'm going.
And what are you going to?
Civic amenities.
Civic amenities.
Yes, I'm always civic amenities, yeah.
Okay, so we have transportation, and I think that's the key area that we're missing. So I'll try to work with you to cover that area. Okay. Council agenda, council calendar, I mean?
No report tonight.
No city manager report?
No report.
City attorney report?
No report.
Staff direction from city council members? Any future agenda item requests? Did I miss anything on that? No? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you so much, everybody.